everyone. Welcome to Five Good Words, a Whitsun gathering with Orland Bishop and friends. I'm Lars Capitici, the Director of Programs from the Anthroposophical Society in America, and we're so glad you are joining us at this very special moment in time. So while you're here, if you can please, in the chat, let everybody know where you're joining us from, and your chat should be working now. So if you can go ahead in the chat and just let us know. I'm up here in Northern California. Thank you for joining us, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Sacramento, Boston, Australia, California, Colorado, South Florida, New York, Michigan, Massachusetts. Wow, so many. Minnesota, hello, Minnesota. Rhode Island, Austin, Canada, Detroit, Nevada, Arizona, Tennessee. I know I missed some. We're so glad you're here with us right now. So as you come in, continue to do that. In a moment, we will be turning off the chat. And as you can see, everyone is mute. And before we do that, we'd like, if everyone has a candle, if you can light a candle with us, if you'd like to do that. And if not, you can just light that candle in your heart. So Tess, if you could please share our words or paragraph from Rudolf Steiner.
Sure thing. And then there comes before us the mighty picture, with a force that works like a force present in the soul itself. Then do we feel the future as the first understanders felt it under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. If only we are willing to make alive in our souls that which knows nothing of the boundaries separating the different parts of humanity, and speaks a language which all souls, all the world over, can understand. We feel the thought of peace, of love, of harmony, which lies in the Whitsun thought. And we feel this Whitsun thought enlivening our Whitsun festival.
Thank you, Tess. So again, we warmly welcome all of you here. And I'm going to tell you the order tonight of what we'll be doing. We're holding the space in reverence, and that's why everyone at this point is muted, and we will have the chat turned off soon if it's not turned off already. Thank you for letting us know where you are. Before that, I'd like you to just try to feel your body in space and feel your feet and just notice where you are, because we're meeting through this medium. And then notice the room you're in. If you can look around your room for a moment. And then the home, the place, the office, wherever you are, feel that space. And take that out into your town. Wherever you are, feel that city, that town, that little part of the country. And then the state or the province you're in. And then take that next step and feel the world. And once you've done that, come back into yourself. Now, I'd like to say a big thank you, not only to Orland Bishop, but to our 12 community members who have volunteered bravely, courageously, to share their 5 good words. That what we hope create a living Logos foundation stone of love. And these five words may be about Sophia, as this group of 12 is working with the Divine Feminine and Sophia. Or they may also be or be about Whitsun or Pentecost this time. And they may also have a personal meaning. And they may also have a community meaning, whatever community that is. And now I will turn it over to them to share their 5 good words. And we'll start with Angela Foster. And can you not unmute yourself, Angela? That's the problem. Okay, there you go.
How can I help you?
Darkness unfolding, awakening, light divine.
Truth, compassion, wisdom, co-creation, love.
Life's light becoming summer's song.
Communion, contemplation, compassion, bridge, healing.
Our hearts lead us home.
Silence, speaking. Arise, inner flame.
Listen, center, mystery, revealing presence.
Polyphony, dissonance, color, riot, metanoia.
I am healing community. Sophia.
Interest, transparency, grace, all embracing, perseverance.
Moral wisdom, bride crown, enkindling.
Thank you. There we go. That was a lot of thank yous. Okay. So again, we're so glad to have all of you here that have joined us. And right now I'm going to turn it over to Jordan Walker to introduce our dear guest, Orland Bishop. And Orland will share, and then we'll have a brief pause after he talks, and we'll ask you all to join a breakout room with some questions for you to work with this Whitsun. Then we'll come silently back to the space, and then Orland will close our space, and then we'll have a brief pause and a time then where everyone can share their own 5 good words if they choose. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for being here on the 31st of May, which is known as White Sunday, Whitsun, or also Pentecost, this holy day that is mysterious. I think it's mysterious for most of us who have heard that it's a holiday, but it's mysterious even as you begin to look into it. And as one is living in these enormously mysterious times, both individually, but also this collective mystery that never before has been so clear, that global humanity is moving through something together. How do we do that? Where do we look? Rudolf Steiner, one of the names that he gave for anthroposophy was initiation science. And I've never met an individual who more humbly and nobly embodies the idea and ideals of initiation science than Orland Bishop. His biography is a fascinating one, and I would encourage everyone to seek out a recording that he gave a few years back where he told in long form his spiritual biography. But I think we recognize each other in not just the words we say, but in the space between the words we say, right? And our hope tonight is to make an offering, a spacious offering, where the space between our words speaks and can offer the guidance that we all need for what is coming next. So we are very blessed and grateful to have Orland as a living example of what that practice looks like. Thank you, Orland.
Thank you, Jordan. My dear friends, on this occasion, my heart is with us and through us to others in the world that are facing extreme forces of conscience and whose will is tasked with carrying the scales of justice and carrying the grief of loss of life, liberties, and trust in our societal realities. When we had made the agreement to host today's forum, the impulse at that time was a bit different. Jordan and I, we were speaking some weeks ago, and it was just a personal conversation about what we are asked to bring, given the fact that sacrifices were made on our behalf by not only our families and communities, but by a being whose love wisdom for the world prepared 2,000 years ago, plus an impulse for this earth to be able to receive through human endeavor, a reality born out of the agreement for each other's future. a sacrifice was made out of divine love for who we are and ought to become. And we were just reflecting into this, and the idea came, well, let us invite our community to be with the idea on this day. We're now witnessing across this country the impulse of fire, inwardly and outwardly expressed, with enraged emotions attached to it, and with a defiance against the structures of society as authorities of various kinds. Sorry, the emergency things are interrupting. But the world is not different. The world is being revealed. The inconsistencies of what we expect to happen with power and authority shows us that it is not always in our interest, and not always for the greatest good of allowing the harmonic fire of life to be expressed. I think back just in January, when one of our beloved Los Angeles, Kobe Bryant, passed away. And the solemn fire, the sacred fire, brought thousands of people to the city to grieve. They met downtown Los Angeles, and to attend this memorial, you had to have had a ticket. And you've had to have bought that ticket to attend a grief ceremony for some loved one. And in this reckless disregard of all the love that was outpouring, one day was given, as a matter of fact, a few hours were given to honor a soul that has given so much enlivenment. Yes, through athleticism, but it was also through a kind of devotion of what souls are to inspire in each other. And the city did not invest in this grief. The moment went by, forgotten. And the subsequent months is the COVID-19 pandemic causing loss of lives in the various cities of this country, in communities. And again, people could not ceremonialize, ritualize, and honor the passage of those loved ones in the ways that we have been accustomed to. This Whitsun Pentecost could not be more fitting to reflect into the time of which the mystery of Golgotha was unfolding, and the risk surrounding those who believe in this being's wisdom of sacrifice could not honor that sacrifice then as well. Time can be embodied as a living story, living history, living future, or it could be understood as the elements that constitute reality in all levels, including the cosmic levels, which is playing out amidst the fires of these destructive elements that are flowing through the world currently. But I'm not here just to speak about the world as it is, but the world in becoming, the world for which this sacrifice was made, and the potential that has reached so deeply into the human feeling that when a life is sacrificed without the regard for all that that body and life has imbued, this soul spark will erupt. George Floyd was not just another black man. He was a being whose life is connected directly to the mystery of Golgotha. We all are connected to it. And it was for him that that sacrifice was made. And how is it that now, as we ask ourselves, what happened that may have caused his life to have been such a spark to the fires that are now erupting? Yes, the story of his life connects to his ancestry that has been released again into the world, that old story of suffering. And Laura, a moment ago, you shared your dream that touches me very deeply, because in contemplation for today's sharing, it really was about that process of attending to an individual in such a way that the greater wisdom of life gets revealed. How do we take up the suffering of individuals that then put the cosmic wisdom directly in view? The sacrifice was to take a kind of suffering out of the body. The Golgotha sacrifice was to prepare the astral body to be able to carry a fire, a sacred fire, connected to the wisdom of Sophia, connected to the living soul consciousness that this age is to give birth to, and to the deep, deep ecology of the earth, at the center of which this mystery is deeply connected. The risk of injustice in our present age is the risk of releasing this fire from the depth of the earth, from all of the sacrifices of the ancestors of every place, of every time, of sparking the sacred trust that we each carry in our astrality to be able to create a new covenant of the spiritualized fire of human life. I think of us as hosts for one of the deepest hospitality of our age. Much has changed of what I tried to prepare even 2 or 3 days ago, because today I'm just alive with this fire. And I'm feeling deeply, deeply aligned with the mystery itself, as it has been prepared to awake us to a need for something new born out of this covenant that we were given to carry in our inner life. I have a rose here that I had from a ceremony that I did 2 days ago for a young 21-year-old friend who lost her life in January, was in a coma for some months, and then passed 3 weeks ago, but as I observed this rose and observed the releasing of the essence so that it be taken up by our own bodies. Nothing dies without giving to the human being its purpose. Death as unnatural, death as violence is not a reality. Every death has a purpose connected to this mystery. Everything that dies contributes to the becoming of the world. Everyone who lives and dies on this earth gives something new to the earth at the time of death. And in contemplation of her passage, in the midst of that, George Floyd lost his life. And I'm taken up again in the question of what is it that he is giving to the world. And without patience, we can't receive it. Without some reverence for the very nature of this sacred earth, it's hard for us to be able to carry the energies released by a human life in this age of the consciousness soul. So it's so very personal for me today. And I know for each of us, there's some insight, some tone of compassion for not just his life, but the lives that may be lost again and again if we don't welcome this mystery deeply into our societies. In January of this year, I witnessed in the sunset of January 1st, the beings of life and light and love entering into the aspiration of what we call the Happy New Year. They came in as if knowing that we would need all the help to prepare ourselves for what was to come in the subsequent months and what may still come if the disregard for this process of the wisdom of life and light and love continues. And what I had to do with this was this witnessing of this sunset was to carry it into night, carry it into the darkness, where in my own astral body, I felt gifted with a suffering that I could not identify as personal or even a way historical, but in a preparation for an acceptance of the kind of initiation that I think most of us will be invited to carry, of this substance of this earth that has in this time giving itself to us. Within this pandemic is a distribution of the substance of the Holy Spirit that touched on those who witnessed the first Whitsun. What has grown within the earth is this fire. is this impression upon which our inner life will feel the growing need for the blood to go through its transformation and take up and take in and share with others the sacrament that this fire represents, this Sophia wisdom of soul consciousness. In 1990, Christmas Day of 1990, a dedicated scientist working on the mystery of the human blood discovered a pentacarbon crystal that was able to catalyze a super immunity in the human blood. When this crystal was introduced to the human body, the processes went through a retroactive reversal of time and awoken in the blood a cell that we had not known to exist, that in a matter of an hour created a super immunity to be able to provide for the human being the renewal energy to transform illnesses on so many different levels, at the genetic level, as we call it as well. With such wisdom coming into the world, it was refused as a therapeutic offer to humanity to deal with the physical illness. Well, that Pentecostal power that was observed as a crystal that creates free energy, that moves the blood to higher vibrational fields so that human will could resolve illnesses are now differently than just the physical level. It is in, or the astral level, etheric level, it is now in the astral level. Each decade of life advances the human will to be able to take up the wisdom of this earth. Spiritual science is essential to the next discourse about how we make our world just. Because it's revealing its mystery and its wisdom to us every day in the everyday expression of what we see coming to be in the world. Many of you, if not all of you, have been in some practice of spiritual science research and esoteric studies and occult philosophies. So I'm not intending to rehearse that with us today. My task is to invite the acknowledgement of this being within our midst and ask, are we willing to create a community of sacred hospitality for the sacred fire that is burning through the world, that is alive in the longings of our young people, and use this as a ceremony, as if in that moment, as this first Whitsun, where knowledge and languages separate people, and yet we came to a shared understanding of the reality for which that event promised, that we in subsequent days will know more of that miracle, mystery. But suffering is not the mystery anymore. What causes it? And your dream is so true to my heart, Laura, in that every human being can become the reference point for which this mystery reveals what we must now carry for each other, the love and the trust for what lives in us. Dr. Martin Luther King, on the day before he died, observed this fire. He spoke to it. It impassioned him to say, it is our birthright, and it's beyond the politics and economics of our realities. It is our future. And it's a covenant given to every human being to carry. What may for some be belief is actually a truthful expression. When the life crosses this boundary of death and it changes our world, or it's in fact, it reveals our world more to us. What if there be no more dying in vain happening in our time? What if this earth is so sure about every person's right to life and death with dignity? My longing was to be together today, even if it had to be in silence. So I'm moving through layers of my own feelings to this place where I think the who we are to be lives. And I'm asking, are we willing to be that now for each other? And what is the word? We heard these 5 words that were shared. Each of them hold the wisdom of a lived experience and an inner insight as to why these words mattered to have been shared in this way. And I have 5 for us. I give you my will. I give you my will. What do I mean? There is nothing that can be taken from me. From the point in which I speak now, everything is free to be given. And we could find that place in ourselves in which nothing could be taken. The purpose of Whitsun was to affirm the human being's capacity to receive and give freely this substance. It costs nothing to give. It requires nothing to receive. The purpose of that agreement, where This being knows that when we agree in that trust, we bring the sacred fire, and the bringer of that fire is with us, that we may be baptized by it, that we might be transformed by it. And this struggle, this suffering overtaking, even taking a life, could be transformed. The need to take from each other when at death we give everything back and more. The last words of George Floyd as he died, asking and begging to let the life be alive, to give what it can. That breath of life wanted to give something to the world. And I feel what it is. It is this free will. Can we trust giving our free will to each other and the world? Without any preconditions. What more can we gain with other than that which was given to us freely? A spiritual society owes it to itself to trust the spiritual world without any precondition that it may give to us the futures that can only be received with an open heart. And so I'm holding this heart of mine open to our common good and the wisdom of all of our collective stories that can be placed in it. Because this grail, this holy grail, remained open from the time the Logos descended into human life to open this covenant and place itself in the violence of its time that it might be healed. Place itself in every body of every race. Place itself in every level of society that it might find the common good. And if not today, when shall we give it back? That this being might enter in our midst and reveal the wisdom of love. My dear friends, I invite us to be in this flame of the Holy Spirit today, this sacred fire, spiritualized fire, as a communion for the greatest good that we can give through our collective will. May it be so.
Thank you, Orland. So now we will move to a time where we can all have a moment to share. And in that time, we will ask that you make sure that others that are in these small rooms with you, we'll put you all into small rooms to share, that you each have equal time as much as you can. Share that space and say and share only what feels right for you. And that everything that is shared in the space, these breakout rooms we'll put you into in a minute, you keep confidential. So if you haven't been in a breakout room with us before, it's an opportunity to meet some people that you might be meant to meet. So we invite you to take that time and say yes to that room. And you'll see an invitation come up that if you accept that invitation, you'll enter into that breakout room. And if you choose not to, that's okay too. We will have a main room where we'll be silent in that room. But we do invite you to please meet with some other people in our community right now. And I'm going to turn it over to Angela Foster, who will tell you a leading question for the space that you'll be entering after this amazing moment with Orland. Deep love and appreciation and an understanding of the spiritual community. So Angela.
Thank you. I am grateful to be here. So we're going to have this opportunity now to come together, like Laura said, in space, non-space, these strange groupings out there somewhere. We'll find each other. The question that the Sophia group was working with in the love poem for Sophia was, what is essential? What is living in your heart? And we give ourselves 5 words. And just to take a little bit of the stress off, it doesn't have to be the only 5 words you ever have. It's just the 5 words for right now. So that's our task, is what 5 words are in your heart, or what 5 words do you feel living in that you might give voice to with another small group of interested human beings. So I'll see you there.
Thank you, Angela. So your own 5 good words, and then we'll come back in silently and Orland will close up our space. And then we'll pause and everyone will have a chance to share their 5 good words. We are going to put you, there'll be 50 rooms and about 5 people per room. So please say yes to that. And if you choose not to, you can also sit and just journal your own 5 words during that time. And we're going to pause the recording during that time too. Okay, so I'm being in your breakout rooms. Orland, where are you? Can you speak so we can see you?
Yes, I can you? Yes, I'm here.
Hello.
Is it okay, Laura, to share your dream?
Sure. I can share my dream. Yes. And yeah. So last night I had a dream that there was a woman who was coming into our Zoom space today, and she was trying to create some problems in our space by holding things up and sharing them. And every time I tried to stop her, I couldn't stop her. All the controls were gone, and all the security controls were gone, and I couldn't do anything to stop her. And I said, finally, I kind of gave up. And I said, what what do you need? What do you want here? And then my picture of her opened up and I saw that she was in a hospital room and she had an IV attached to her arm. And at that moment, Orland came into the space and just started addressing her, even though there were hundreds of us here, because he saw and we saw that she was suffering. And so that became the moment for our time together, is this person to person addressing of suffering. So that was my dream last night. And when we came onto the call a little early today, I shared that with Orland. And anyway, thanks for inviting me to share it because you referred to it. So.
Thank you. Yeah, it inspired a number of things for me, but also to speak more directly to the pedagogy that allows every person to be an exemplar of the thing that we're trying to change in society. See, sometimes the trying to get to the whole big picture defeats the effort, but one person doing it for one person leaves the example very clearly, because this area of life that we're trying to activate, that is really on the IV, this part that we actually need to give attention to and invest more willingness into, moves us from the personal level of consciousness to the collective superconscious. So the attention is given to another domain in consciousness through which one person's action is reaching everyone simultaneously. The dream points to this effort that we are all called to engage, that in the multiplicity is the one being that requires more of our trust, through which when we do it, everyone benefits at the same time. The pedagogy that came in from a spiritual science acts upon this field, that every time we do the thing that we know is true, it benefits the evolution of humanity's progress. The philosophy of freedom is not an individual act. It is an act in a way representative of this sphere of consciousness through which our individual practice is given away and becomes the capacity in the other. I used to work very deeply on these 5 words, I give you my word. I've worked with it in many, many different ways. But today, as I was contemplating it, the last word just changed from my word to my will, the last 2 words. And if I give you my will, this is really the sphere that I think spiritual science is really carefully allowing us to develop the awareness for a substance that we give away, and by giving it away, we get replenished at the same time. And it just came up in our group space a moment ago, that the question is that the thing that we want and pray for ourselves, if we do it for the other, the same will of giving it away gives it to us again. And in this social struggle that we find ourselves in, I feel like the prayer is, and you said it in what is it that you need? You asked this woman in the dream, what do you need? And within that question, of course, you know, we know it through the various stories of is it that allows us to come in proximity to the wound of another and the medicine of the other that we bring as our gifts to the world. And so I feel like the invitation to me now, given whatever time I have left in this world, is what what is in my willingness to do that is not for the purpose of achieving more, but facilitating through my own efforts the creativity that allows effortlessly, really, my will to be in service of whatever other human beings are striving for. And the invitation that I would host for this field of human striving for social equity and justice is that we don't make the other so far removed from the idea of this Whitsun festival, but to really include them in the idea of it, that the Holy Spirit is with each and everyone simultaneously, and that it is possible to arrive at a shared understanding through this, these beings who mediate the very substance that we say are in all of our IVs. You know, we're all in a way receiving qualities of the Holy Spirit to give us the strength and courage to take up the healing that we are required to do in our time. And so with that, I feel like I deeply interested in the sacred act of holding space for the other without the precondition of thinking that I know what I need to give them, but to allow them to receive what through my willingness they can receive. And the Logos being has prepared so much for us to receive once we extend ourselves as the host for that for others. And may we know how this sacred hospitality feels in our hearts when the world cries out. Thank you.
Thank you, Orland. And we're just gonna take a moment here to express our gratitude to you for being with us. And I'm just gonna make sure that everybody can share that in the chat, and then just a deep breath. So let's do that deep breath now as we move into the last part of our time together. Thank you. Thank you, Orland. Thank you. Okay, and while we have our candles still lit here or in our hearts, we want to open it up to people to share their 5 good words. And also, I just wanted to say that Orland shares a lot more than 5 good words in his book. As Tess, I don't know if you have it, if you could hold it up or just type it into the chat, the 7th Shrine. I just wanted to make sure we shared that. The General Council of the Anthroposophical Society, our board, read this book as a study, and we continue to work with it in many different ways. So you did not talk about it, Orland, so we're going to tell people about it because it's a really amazing book. So thank you for having it out there in the world. And yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to open the space up. How does that sound, everybody? Oh, there's so many beautiful comments. I hope everybody's reading the chat too. Okay, so I think
raising hands. Yeah.
What'd you say, Tess?
So folks can raise their hands, and we'll be able to call on them sort of one by one.
And I think we're going to just stop the recording now. So thank you, everybody, for being with us, and that's watching us after this, the other 200 people, and we'll thank you for your time, and we hope you write your 5 good words and share them with other people as well. I'm just going to stop the recording and open up the space.